Celebrities are feeling the burn, tweeting out their support for 2016 Democratic hopeful Bernie Sanders. Danny DeVito tweeting, "Bernie Sanders, you are our only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi." Susan Sarandon posting, "We need a leader who is courageous and level-headed in times of crisis. Hashtag Bernie 2016. Mark Ruffalo tweeting, "This is a blessing to the presidential race. Give him hell, Bernie." FP1 Strategies communications expert Ashley Pratte with me now. She says if Sanders gets elected, we will all feel the burn in our wallets. On the other side, Basil Smikle Associates President Basil Smikle says Sanders can and should win. Ashley, what is the latest price tag for taxpayers on the programs that Sanders is proposing?
Well, it's somewhere close to what our national debt is right now, which is $18 trillion. And if we think that's fiscally responsible to do for our, nation's young people, for our nation in general, and I think that's a very, very, very terrible idea. I just don't see how anyone can support this. I'm sorry, Basil, but I just don't. Not only that, but the fact is, if liberal Hollywood loves this so much, why don't they pool all of their money together and pay for it? Because right now, I don't think, doubling our national debt to pay for these socialistic ideas is a great proposal at all.
Basil, to Ashley's point, it is a little bit easier to be generous if you're not trying to figure out how to pay your bills every month.
Well, let's think about where the debt is coming from. If you're talking about student loan debt
President
that has
Obama?
outpaced, if you're talking about student loan debt that has outpaced credit card debt, what's wrong with having ideas that say we're not going to put these young people into so much debt and they can go ahead, go to college, public universities, and actually be productive and give back to the economy as opposed to incurring debt that, by the way, has a record now of default. So I think what Bernie Sanders is saying is, look, we're going to pay this money one way or another. Let's pay it up front, give people opportunity as opposed to taking it away and then creating more debt at the end of it.
And of course, what is the concern? For example, we saw this in France where the rich were taxed very heavily.
And they left.
And some people did leave, and with them, their businesses and their enterprises.
Well, I don't think Bernie Sanders is talking about huge taxation. He's talking about, particularly with this public college, he's talking about a small tax on some investment income that would actually pay for public universities for everybody. That's not a huge burden, in my opinion.
Ashley, you want to say something?
Yeah, it's not a huge burden to impose $18 trillion of new spending into a, federal government system that already owes a ton of money. Not only that, but that's burdening our nation's young people who right now are suffering. And that's because of the terrible job market and terrible economy. And, for example, people like Bernie Sanders support the Fight for 15 movement, which is an arbitrary movement to arbitrarily obviously impose a new minimum wage. So if he wants jobs, don't lose them.
To Basil's point, some of that is by attrition. But I want to bring in some breaking news and ask you both for your take. After years of seeming to dodge the question, presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton coming out with a position, a clear one, on the Keystone XL pipeline, saying she opposes it. She said this on tape at an event in Des Moines, Iowa, saying, quote, "Keystone Pipeline, as I believe what it is a distraction from important work we have to do on climate change. Therefore, I oppose it." What is your take, Ashley? First and foremost, is this Hillary Clinton moving further to the left to try to appeal to maybe some people that she doesn't appeal to right now?
Of course, and I think this is the most transparent she's ever been, right? She comes out with this statement as soon as she decides, what her position is. But this will end up costing a lot of jobs that could be newly created by the creation of the pipeline. So again, for people like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders who are championing the Fight for 15 movement, this is actually something that can provide good paying and new jobs to people here in America.
Basil, as she says, as I understand it, and she says she opposes it not for its own reasons, but because it is a distraction. That's a little bit of a dissonance going on there.
Well, she also made the connection to fossil fuels as well. But I do think that the climate change issue is a much broader issue that she's been talking a lot about. And look, this is in part because, Martin O'Malley and Bernie Sanders have have come out very early on this. What she says carries a bit more weight because of her position and relationship to the Obama administration. I don't mind that she took her time to make this decision, but she is talking about it as part of a larger message on climate change, which she's been doing for the last few months now. Okay. So I don't begrudge the timing of this, and I think, for the decision that she made, she's going to get a tremendous amount of support for it.